Hi, everyone. Welcome to RBD's Workout Wednesdays, a weekly show designed to deliver bite-sized training sessions that equip and empower you with practical tools to unlock and unblock your path to success. Our show features industry experts from our other weekly show, Rev Shots. We're showcasing real-world tactics and strategies that work. Tune in to make your numbers, retain your team, and delight your customers. Follow me on LinkedIn or join our mailing list to stay updated on our latest speakers and episodes. Let's move forward together, one Wednesday at a time. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Revenue by Design's Workout Wednesday. I am Dion Major, your host, and we are so excited that you are here. And today we are going to talk about something that is desperately needed and a skill set that has kind of fallen out of favor. And we're going to talk today about the art of conversation. And for those of you that know me and we've worked together before, we cover this particular session in our workshop. And what people really like about the art of conversation is that it gives us a framework to actually have a conversation. So growing up, I'm a Gen Xer. We learned these tools and we learn by osmosis when we think about the art of conversation or simply doing anything else. So I encourage you, think about how you do certain things, whether you take care of your house, how you raise your kids, how you work with your pets, how you communicate with others at the end of the day. All of that is learned behavior. And now enter into our workforce in 2025. And what we're seeing is this amalgamation of different life experiences and different upbringings around the world and across the globe. We've got folks that are digital natives. We have folks that maybe don't necessarily know how to, nor do they want to pick up the phone. So we're in this really interesting place in time. And that being said, a lot of when I work with organizations, what I focus on is the framework and mindset for people to understand and have the tool set with which we are holding a conversation. In a couple of weeks, we're going to talk about day in the life. How am I setting up my day to be successful and being very intentional? So more to come on that later. But today, what we want to really talk about is the art of conversation. And so I'm going to share with you in a very, very consumable fashion and fairly quickly, because Workout Wednesday is designed to give everybody these bite-sized nuggets. And so what we want to think about when we think about the conversation is when we are talking with our teams and when we are doing sales training with our teams, a lot of times we're focused on pouring into our customer-facing teams, whether you're AM, CS, SDR, ADR, doesn't matter. We're focused on filling their heads with speeds and feeds and what we think our products are going to what we think our clients are going to want and need and like, versus teaching our teams how to have a conversation. So what I always share with folks is, listen, as a sales professional or even customer facing in any way, shape, fashion, or form, if you are in a conversation with somebody trying to get them to see your point of view, that's a sales conversation. So more to come on that later. However, what we want to talk about today is getting our head wrapped around this idea that people love the sound of their own voices. Our clients are coming to us because they have a problem, or they said yes to an initial conversation because they want to hear what you have to say, but their mind is feverishly working in the background while you're talking as far as how it applies to them. So we want to keep that in mind as we're talking with folks, whether we are in a pre-call, we're in a cold call, we're in discovery, we're in a demo, we're in a closing call, doesn't matter. The art of conversation applies to every single conversation we have in our professional life. People want to be heard. They want to be understood. They want to be able to say yes. They want to be able to understand what you're talking about and be able to move forward. And 9 times out of 10, number 3 is really important. We aren't always good at articulating specifically what we need, want, or desire, or how a decision is made in our organization, or how we're going to attack adoption and implementation. We, from a sales professional perspective, are responsible for the conversation. That doesn't mean we own the entirety of it, but we are responsible for the framework and driving the conversation. And at the end of the day, we all want more revenue, we all want to be successful, and we all want our problems to go away. So, the aha moment for a lot of professionals I talk with when we walk through the art of conversation is we, the sales professionals, own the conversation and the ability to make people feel heard and understood. We can't make people feel things. I know I'm hearing that from people too. We can create an environment and a feeling within a conversation that people want to share with us. So keep that in mind and these nuggets in mind as we think about our big idea. I also encourage you as you are going through your conversations, whether they're internal or external, always have a purpose. What is the purpose of our conversation? And it's to drive alignment and understanding, to determine if we're a fit. And if so, really think about what are we doing next? One of the tools we equip our teams with, the teams that I work with through Workshop, is really talking about our conversation is like a dance. It should be fluid and somewhat choreographed to achieve the desired outcome. I'm not saying we've got to try to manipulate people and things of that nature. What I am saying is we should absolutely know our desired outcome for a conversation. What questions do we think we need to ask? And how are we going to listen and actively listen throughout this conversation? So what you're looking at here is what I call a conversation tree. And we go through these exercises in the workshops that I lead, and we bring real world examples and think about what is our opening statement, if you will. Thank you so much for joining today. The purpose of our conversation today is... I literally will say those words because a lot of times in our attention deficit society, we are all working all the time and our brains are working all the time. So the more concrete language we can use, probably the better, especially for an initial conversation and a relationship that is just starting to form. The whole point of what you're looking at here isn't how great our questions are. What I want you to take away from understanding the point and purpose of a conversation and the conversation tree map is be prepared. We are not good at winging things. We shouldn't wing things. And as a professional, we need to be prepared because when we're prepared, we are infinitely more confident. So what you're looking at here are the 5 phases of a really great conversation. We always do pre-call planning. We should never enter a call where we haven't looked at somebody's LinkedIn profile. We haven't looked at their website. If you're in the enterprise space, your homework is a little bit bigger where you might look at an organization's 10K. Absolutely look at their posts on LinkedIn, their recent press releases, their earnings statements, any announcements they might have, things of that nature. Mid-market and entrepreneurial components, small businesses, same thing, but we also are maybe looking for themes in that particular vertical that we are working in. We want to think about how we are starting the call. What is the goal? What is our desired outcome? How are we kicking things off? And then, of course, we're guiding the call. This is what sometimes I call the messy middle, where we're starting to uncover the true needs of somebody, and we're getting specific through asking our questions that we have prepared in advance. And of course, getting to the desired outcome. Maybe at the end of the day, this organization does not need what we are offering, but maybe we can give them a referral. And isn't that fantastic to generate that goodwill? Because that also gives us the opportunity to have a deeper conversation on maybe sharing referrals. The next thing we want to think about is setting next steps. A lot of people call this phase closing. I think about it as actually setting next steps and determining, are we going to move forward? And again, being very concrete. Most of us are triple booked these days. We're going from one Zoom meeting to another. For those of you that are traveling, there's a whole host of things that we're doing. And so we want to be really, really clear and very intentional. And thank God, there are tools nowadays that can record our conversations, update our tools in real time, as well as generate emails. So we are not having to do those things and we can operate and run in real time. And how exciting that we can get to this phase of a conversation and say, for our next steps, within the next 5 minutes, I'm going to do some follow up with you. You're going to see a follow up email from me that outlines what we're doing next, insert specifics here, and being able to do those things. I've been doing this now for about 25 years. So I go between role play and speaking pretty seamlessly, as I'm sure a lot of you do as well. So once we set our next steps and set our intentions, so there's no ambiguity and 100% clarity, then we absolutely get into our follow-up. Do what you say you're going to do, mean what you say, and do what you say you're going to do. Nothing creates confusion like not following up and ambiguity. So we want to be very clear at the end of the day. So these are the 5 pieces that we go through in depth in a workshop, and we encourage everybody to bring examples. So I want to talk a little bit about what stops a good conversation. And really what stops a good conversation and what we want to think about is we don't know what to say. We don't know how to initiate the conversation. And quite frankly, sometimes we don't know how to gracefully end a conversation. One of my very first roles out of college, I was a sales coordinator in a company, and this company was owned. We were the American arm of a company owned by a Japanese organization. And I remember hearing our leaders speaking Japanese, and it was very, very staccato compared to what I was used to. And they would literally just very, very staccato conversation and end the conversation and hang up the phone. And I remember going, oh my goodness. Because in the world that I had come from, there were always these long goodbyes. Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, this was great. Wonderful talking with you. You'll get those follow-up items and we'll talk with you soon. And it just ends and goes and goes and goes and goes. So when we're thinking about our conversation and the art of conversation, go back to the visual I just shared of the conversation tree map, where when we know what to say, we are prepared and we are confident. We know how to initiate a conversation and we know how to gracefully end the conversation. With that, as we're mentally prepared and we're thinking about this framework, I want to leave you with these 3 components of what happens when we are guiding a conversation. And when I talk about we as a professional are responsible for driving the conversation and making people feel heard and understood, this is a great formula for that. When we are in the middle of guiding the conversation, and to use the Covey language, I'm sure it's been updated, but we want to seek to understand, and we do that with a AAA approach of acknowledge, address, and advance. Very simple. We want to acknowledge what we heard. I heard you say, or it sounds as if, and then we want to address it. That must be, or how is that working for you? And then we want to advance. So what does that mean? Or what would be next? And here's the secret sauce of really great conversation and what separates sales professionals from reps who are amateurs. And we've all started there. Go 3 questions deep. And for some of you, you're going, I don't know what to ask. What 3 questions should I ask? Start with the WH, the who, what, how, when, where, and why, and the cursory H question thrown in there. So it might be, I heard you say that growing revenue or reducing attrition is of great importance to you. That must be because, or how are you doing that today? And then advance the conversation. What is happening today around that? Who's all interested in this initiative? Who's all a part of this initiative? How are you measuring it? What happens if you don't succeed? So you can definitely use this framework in every conversation you're having today. When we think about guiding the conversation to a desired end, this AAA approach sits in the middle of our conversation. Acknowledge, address, and advance. And when we are advancing, we're going 3 questions deep. So I encourage you today to think about, how are you preparing for conversations? Do you know your desired outcome? And if you're thinking, yeah, I do these things, Dion, or I have my team do these things, I encourage you a couple of things. One, how well are these conversations going today? And what is maybe 1 or 2 things you can do today to enhance your conversations and grow your team's ability to have a great conversation? And more importantly, the skill to have a great conversation. There's definitely more on this topic as far as a great conversation, but we covered off on today is what really makes a great conversation is us as a professional entering into the conversation prepared. We've done our homework, entering into the conversation with our desired end state, and using the middle of the conversation to guide us, meaning us as the professional and our client, to a mutually agreed upon desired end state. And we only do that when we are asking great questions. So I hope this was helpful for you. I encourage you to think about, how are you having a great conversation? How are your teams doing that? And how are you helping people achieve the winning formula of have the right activity to grow visibility, to grow opportunity? So thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate it. I hope you got some good nuggets to take away, and we look forward to having. Hi, everyone. Welcome to RBD's Workout Wednesdays, a weekly show designed to deliver bite-sized training sessions that equip and empower you with practical tools to unlock and unblock your path to success. Our show features industry experts from our other weekly show, Rev Shots. We're showcasing real-world tactics and strategies that work. Tune in to make your numbers, retain your team, and delight your customers. Follow me on LinkedIn or join our mailing list to stay updated on our latest speakers and episodes. Let's move forward together, one Wednesday at a time.